Mangwana ni mwalele povu kenjani xexwa vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Berry and Glenora Shipura. How are you, Glenora?
I'm doing very well. I like the way you bring us in. I feel very warm.
Okay.
Yes.
Really warmer than you look right now?
Yeah. I don't like the winter. Well, getting into what you can expect on Africa Good Morning, National Assembly passes bill to recognize sign language as SA's 12th official language. Sudan warring parties agreed to 7-day truce starting today. Kenya deadly cult Mackenzie to face terrorism charges. Odero remains in custody. We'll also be crossing over to Zimbabwe, speaking to our correspondent Talen Gore, who will be filling us in on the news making waves there. Do stay tuned.
Now we start off our top stories in South Africa as Parliament has approved a bill that will recognize sign language as one of the country's official languages. On Tuesday, majorities of MPs in the National Assembly voted in favor of adopting the Constitution 18th Amendment Bill to make sign language the 12th official language. The bill will now be sent to the National Council of Provinces for approval before the legislation is signed into law by President Cyril Ramaphosa. While expressing support for the bill, ANC MP and chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services, Bulelani Magwanishe, warned that the passing of the bill might require consequential amendments to other existing laws. The committee notes that the South African Sign Language is mentioned in another legislation. Magwanishe said Democratic Alliance MP Glenys Breitenbach lamented the fact that it took more than a decade for the bill to be finalized and passed by the National Assembly.
The warring parties in Sudan have agreed to a 7-day truce starting May 4th in a phone conversation with South Sudan's President Salva Kiir. The Foreign Ministry in Juba said on Tuesday, raising hopes of an end to weeks of bloodshed. Sudan's army chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his deputy turned rival Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, who commands the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, have agreed in principle for a 7-day truce from May 4th to the 11th. The ministry said in a statement. Now, hundreds of people have been killed and thousands wounded in the fighting as airstrikes and artillery exchanges have pounded swaths of greater Khartoum, sparking the exodus of thousands of Sudanese to neighboring countries. The two sides have also agreed to name their representatives to peace talks to be held at any venue of their choice. The statement from Juba said. Kiir was speaking to Burhan and Daglo as part of an initiative by the East African Regional Bloc Intergovernmental Authority on Development, which has been pushing for an end to the fighting, echoing calls by the African Union and the international community.
Now, two pastors based in coastal Kenya have appeared in court over the death of over 110 congregants, many of whom are believed to have starved to death. Self-proclaimed Pastor Paul Ntenge Mackenzie, who set up the Good News International Church in 2003 and is accused of inciting followers to starve to death to meet Jesus, appeared in the dock in Malindi. He will face terrorism charges over the deaths of more than 100 people found buried in what has been dubbed the Shakahola Forest massacre, prosecutors said. After a brief hearing, the case was moved to the High Court in Kenya's second largest city of Mombasa, where the suspects will face terrorism charges, prosecutor Vivian Kambanga told AFP. More than 100 bodies have been exhumed from dozens of mass graves on his property within Kilifi County. Children are believed to be among the dead, but it is unclear how many, as some of the bodies are in poor condition.
In our next story, Liberia President George Weah has sacked Cooper Krua a few days after the telecommunications minister attended an opposition event. Mr. Krua is said to have gone to the opposition Unity Party political rally last Friday, where it named its presidential running mate ahead of October's general elections. The move angered senior members of the ruling Coalition for Democratic Change Party, who demanded the minister to be dropped from government. President Weah has nominated Walia Sawa Duna, a veteran public servant, to replace him. His nomination, announced on Monday evening, is awaiting the Senate's approval. Now, the elections are expected to be hotly contested, with the incumbent facing strong challenges from the Unity's party, Joseph Bowoka and Alexander Cummings, of the collaborating political parties.
Now, Zambian police have surrounded the house of former President Edgar Lungu in the capital, Lusaka, and demanded access to search it. Mr. Lungu's lawyer, Jonas Zimba, has told Diamond TV that police officers are conducting a search allegedly linked to the ownership of 3 motor vehicles and a title deed. He said the search follows a complaint against the former First Lady Esther Lungu over her suspicious ownership of 3 motor vehicles. Police have not yet issued a statement over the development. The former ruling party Patriotic Front have described the deployment as a breach of Mr. Lungu's immunity as guaranteed by the law. Mr. Lungu lost power to Hakainde Hichilema in the August 2021 election. That brings us to the end of our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Now, if you've been paying attention to the news cycle in Zimbabwe, you know that a man called Ngari Vume was recently found guilty because of a Twitter post that he made, which was considered to be anti-government. Now, Job Sikala, who was jailed for over 300 days without trial, seems to be facing the same fate. We'll be talking to Talent Gore about that story and more stemming from the House of Stone, Zimbabwe, after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Now, as I just highlighted, opposition party Citizens for Coalition Change member, parliament member Job Sikala was found guilty of obstructing the course of justice. Talent Gore will be taking us into that story and more. Talent Wamkase. I can't seem to hear you, Talent. Not quite sure if there's an issue with the sound here. Tell you what, we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we hope to reach Talent again.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk. We bring jou lees weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis julle mondstuk gaan byt.
Let's go for a quick weather update before we go back to Zim.
So unfortunately, we still seem to be having issues connecting to Talent Gore in Zimbabwe. I'll just briefly highlight what she was going to talk to us about. So of course, she was talking about Job Sikala, who was found guilty of obstructing justice. And mine accidents have claimed 139 lives in Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe tops global road carnage, which of course is a statistic that you would rather do without. But swimming back into today's news, the executive mayor of Cape Winelands District Municipality, Dr. Elna von Schlicht, talks to Diana Master about 1,000 things to do in that part of South Africa, which is refreshing considering that we're just coming off the Namibia Tourism Expo. Let's see what SA has to offer.
Good evening and welcome to Sunset News.
Dutchman stays in list A in his speech, rate and taxes, and how much.
After the break, we take a look at the sports.
We bring you
economic indicators, tomorrow's weather and sports. I am Aina Raiza Kweo.
You're watching Africa Good Morning. Now, I have a very special guest today, and I have to say I am honored. I am joined by Dr. Elna, who is the Executive Mayor of the Cape Winelands District Municipality. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Diana. Wonderful. As I've said earlier, I'm delighted to be here in Windhoek.
Yes.
This is my second time ever to be a visitor to Namibia. It's lovely to be here.
I have to say, we are excited to have you here. And I am personally excited to have to interview you. Like I said, it's an honor. So thank you so much. So, of course, let's talk about the Cape Winelands District Municipality. Tell us about that.
Diana, the Cape Winelands District is one of 5 district municipalities in the Western Cape in South Africa. And we do a local government outside of the metro. Of course, we have also our local municipalities, but this is a district consisting of 5 local municipalities. In our case, it includes the Stellenbosch area, the Paarl area, the Ceres-Tulbagh area, the Worcester area, and also the Robertson Bonnievale area. So we are there with our functions, which is prescribed by legislation, but also we are a regional tourism organization where we have to facilitate and organize some tourist activities in order to bring economic development and growth to our area.
Right, so Dr. Elna, please tell me, what are some of the perks of living and working in this district?
First of all, it is a huge honor to be able to work and live in such a beautiful environment, but we have so much on offering, Diana, in terms of our nature, our adventures, our cuisine, our wine estates. It is a culture, it's a lifestyle that we have on offer. That is one of the perks, but I would say the biggest perk of living in the Cape Winelands as a district is our people.
Okay.
We are quite a diverse community. You know, it's Asian blood, it's European blood, it's Pacific blood, all flowing through our veins. So it is a lovely, diverse combination of people. And it is established by research that the international tourists, they are looking for experiences when they visit the Cape Winelands. They want to experience and to feel and to see and to taste what the Cape Winelands is all about. So that is one of our biggest perks.
I would definitely agree. I mean, personally, I haven't visited, but I have watched a lot of videos.
So you are invited now.
And it's an exclusive invitation.
Yes.
So how can I turn that down? How can I pass it down?
You just give me a tinkle.
I definitely cannot pass it down.
Yeah.
So please tell me, especially for tourists, you did say you have a lot to offer in terms of cuisine, activities. What do you think someone like me would like? I say I love the mountains, not climbing them, but just looking at the view and enjoying a glass of wine.
Now, I think what you will like, Diana, is currently it is autumn with us, and we have these velvety evenings, soft evenings going into the night, but you will be a perfect fit for our winter times with a nice glass of good quality wine in front of a fireplace.
Oh, my
With your loved
goodness.
one next to you and enjoying the view of the mountains, not
Of
climbing
course.
them, but most of all enjoying the wine.
I would definitely enjoy the wine. You said you did have there's a lot of estates, wine estates.
Absolutely, just under 100 of them.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
if not more.
If not more. So
Because
I
they-
definitely won't
yeah.
run out of options.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, so Dr. Elna, looking at the export market, what do you expect and what do you export rather, and where do you export?
We have such a lot of export products, but I will just stick to three. The one is the fruit in various forms, from blueberries to citrus to stone fruit, the peaches and all of the stone fruit range. And then, of course, the grapes that we also export hugely from the Cape Winans. And then, of course, the biggest export from the Cape Winans is, of course, our wine.
Our wine.
Our wine does very well overseas, but also domestically. And, of course, Namibia is one of our biggest markets, export markets. We export, number one is Netherlands, then followed by United Kingdom, then China and US of A, and then, of course, number 5 is Namibia.
That is amazing. The
it
fact
is.
that you are literally international. It fits with this year's Tourism Expo theme, Beyond Borders.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say they don't call it the Winelands for nothing.
No, of course not.
I mean, that
Yeah.
is the signature, mark of the municipality.
Yeah.
I would definitely look forward to coming and enjoying a glass of wine. You did say you have zip lining, if I'm not
Of
mistaken.
course, yes. More than one activity, but in the Ceres area, in our Cape Winans area, we have a wonderful one in the Ceres area, and it's absolutely amazing. I did it myself, so I can really market that one as a good experience.
As a good experience.
Yes.
I am definitely looking forward to that. I'm a little scared of heights, but I have to
No,
say...
you can do that in tandem as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, of course. We
Nice.
cater for everybody. Nobody's left behind.
Nobody's left behind.
No.
I am definitely excited. Thank you so much, Dr. Elna, for joining me
If I may just
today.
end this interview, and
Yes.
thank you for the opportunity to say, we believe in Cape Winans. We have 1,000 things to do, and then some wine.
Some wine.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than wine. And if anybody knows me, they know I love myself a good glass of wine. I feel like once I get there, I'm going to be confused a little bit as to where to even begin. But I trust you'll be my personal tour guide.
Definitely.
Thank you
But
so
I'm
much.
waiting for the school.
It will come,
Okay.
definitely. Like you said, in the winter.
Yes.
All
definitely,
right.
yeah.
Thank you so much,
Diana.
Dr. Elna, for joining me today, for telling me all about the Cape Winans District Municipality. Stick around, more Africa Good Morning coming up after the break.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. We're going to dive into the economic news stories. Analysts say that it is possible for government to sustain its annual salary increment scheme despite the financial hole left by loss-making parastatals. And this is in Tanzania. Now, with the promise to restore annual salary increments, the government's wage bill is expected to increase by a staggering 1.051 trillion shillings to reach 10.882 trillion in the 2023-24 fiscal year, if the budget framework is anything to go by.
In our next story, world's tallest hemp hotel trails SA's green credentials. With 12 stories, a breathtaking view of Cape Town's imposing Table Mountain, and a minimal ecological footprint, the world's tallest building made with industrial hemp is soon to open its doors in South Africa. Workers in central Cape Town are putting the finishing touches on the 54-room hemp hotel, which is due to be completed in June. Hempcrete blocks derived from the cannabis plant have been used to fill the building's walls, supported by concrete and cement structure. Now, hemp bricks are becoming increasingly popular in the construction world thanks to their insulating, fire-resistant and climate-friendly properties. President Cyril Ramaphosa has made developing the country's hemp and cannabis sector an economic priority, saying it will create more than 130,000 jobs.
All right, that brings us to the end of our economic news stories. After the break, we'll be diving into our sports stories, as last night, Haaland became the highest scorer ever 35 goals in the English Premier League in one season. You know, I feel about Haaland how Americans feel about Jamaicans on the sprinting field.
Yeah.
You see Usain Bolt, he's incredible, he's better than you, but it's annoying because he's so annoyingly good, but you cannot deny the greatness. Sports news coming up after the break.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news and starting off with soccer news first. The English Premier League continues, a few weeks left, and it is Arsenal that's back on top, but they still have 2 games that they've played more than Manchester City. But it was a big win for Arsenal. They beat Chelsea at home. The score there was 3-1. That means that Arsenal is top of the league again, but they played 2 games less, like I said, so they have 78 points after 34 games, then 32 games for Manchester City, and they have 76 games. So with the next game that Manchester City play, they with a win, they will go on top of the English Premier League again. This coming weekend will be a big way to determine also what's going to happen at the top of the log. Important games for Manchester City and for Arsenal, and also for Manchester United, trying to hang on in the top 3 or 4 to play Champions League next season or the coming season. It's this Saturday, Manchester City that will play at home against Leeds United. Then a tough one for Arsenal. They need to go to Newcastle. Newcastle also at the moment 3rd on the points log, and they have 65 league points. So they play at home against Arsenal. And then it is West Ham United that have a home game. They play at home against Manchester United. That's all the games on Saturday. And continuing international sports news with tennis news from the Madrid Open. It is a WTA and ATP tournament, meaning the best men's and women's players in the world playing in this tournament. On the men's side of the draw, in the round of 16, it is Stefanos Tsitsipas of Greece. He's through to the quarterfinals, beating Bernabéus Miralles of Spain by 6-3 and 6-1. He will play Jan-Lennart Struff of Germany in the quarterfinals. Then a big statement made by number 1 seed, that is Carlos Alcaraz of Spain. He's 19 years old, number 1 seed. He convincingly beat Alexander Zverev of Germany, the 13th seed, by 6-1 and 6-2. Not a good day for the 2nd seed. It's Daniil Medvedev of Russia. He's out. He lost in the round of 16. He lost to his countryman Aslan Karatov, and the score 7-6 and 6-4. On to the women's draw, and it is Maria Sakkari of Greece, the 9th seed. She beat Arina Begu in a tough game, 6-7, 6-4 and 6-2. That was in the quarterfinals already. And then number 2 seed Aryna Sabalenka, she beat Mayor Sheriff from Egypt, and the score there was 2-6, 6-2 and 6-1, also to go through to the semi-finals. And continuing international sport, it is golf news. The next tournament on the PGA is the Wells Fargo Championship that's going to be played in America. It starts on Thursday, finishing on Sunday. And the news from the organizers is that world number 3, Rory McIlroy, confirmed that he will play in the tournament. He didn't play any golf since the Masters tournament. He didn't make the cut in that tournament and didn't play then also in the RBC Heritage tournament. It is Rory McIlroy that indicated the reasons for him not playing was mental and emotional well-being. Lots of pressure on the professional golfers, and Rory McIlroy needed to win the Masters to conclude the Grand Slam. That is winning all 4 of the majors. The Grand Slam missing for him is the Masters. And concluding today's international sports news, it is rugby news, and it is the World Cup rugby that starts on the 8th of September in France, and that will be when France play against New Zealand. Many of the countries starting to name squads in preparation to name their final team to go to the tournament. It is Wales that announced a 54-player squad. It's a big squad, but significantly some experienced players that played in the previous 2 World Cups, including Alan Wynne-Jones, also Lee Halfpenny and George North in that team. South Africa also will name their squad in only on the 8th of August, and it is the captain Siya Kolisi that's injured. He had to have an operation on his knee, so it will at least take 4 months for him to heal, so it's going to be close for him to make that team for France. So that will be announced later. And also Eben Etzebeth, another player from South Africa that is currently injured and also in a race against time. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. And of course, we are together with every single Namibian as we commemorate Kasinga Day. Let's have a look at the highlights from this morning's broadcast. All right, the highlights are still going to be on their way, but we did have several interesting stories today, I believe so. And it would have been good to have Talent Gore come through and expand on that story about Job Sikala in Zimbabwe. I think I found that to be very, very pertinent, particularly because he now cannot compete for elections. We'll touch on that a little later. But as far as today's highlights go, National Assembly in South Africa passes bill to recognize sign language as the 12th official language. Sudan warring parties agree to 7-day truce from the 4th of May. And annual pay rise is possible despite struggling entities. Those have been our stories.
And with that, we've come to the end of our show. Do remember that you can catch Africa Good Morning tomorrow, same time, same place. I am Glen Rashipura.
And I am Ashwin Berry. Swera Jaganaka.